The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by the SGPN merch store. Use promo code SGPNBA to get 10% off of everything in the store. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Friday evening, currently 8:04 on the East Coast, here to talk about the four-game schedule on Saturday in the NBA playoffs. Currently on our screens, we're watching the Atlanta and the Boston Celtics game, getting closer to halftime. But here to help me break down the betting card for the Saturday games, you guys know him as the voice of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, the NFL Gambling Podcast, the WNBA Gambling Podcast, and of course here on the NBA Gambling Podcast, it's Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man?
No, nothing much. Just sweating out player props. For some reason, everybody I bet on unders just decides to go nuts in the first 5 minutes of games. But we'll see what happens. And besides that, made a tennis podcast earlier today. So I've been keeping busy.
Yeah, man, it's been a busy Friday for me as well. I think you guys are my fifth pod of the day. So I guess to save the best for last. But also joining us, he's been grinding. He's been grinding with his real work. He's here with us on Friday night. Delonte, missed you this week, my man. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, man. Glad to be off load management. Glad to be off. Good to be back. Yeah, man. Just looking forward to breaking down the card. The injury situation is kind of puzzling with what some of these teams are going to do, but still looking forward to getting back into the groove, man, and picking some winners. Glad to be back with you guys for sure.
Yeah, we got 4 games on the schedule for Saturday, like I mentioned. Obviously, we'll handicap each one like we usually do. Like I mentioned, we're in the midst of getting close to halftime between the Celtics and the Hawks. Hawks currently have they just hit a 3 in front of me. So they have a 9-point lead, about 2.5 minutes left for the Atlanta Hawks. Turning into a barn burner here. They already have 70 points in the first half to the Atlanta Hawks. But guys, 4 games on the schedule on Saturday. Let's just dive right into it. First game on the board. It's going to be early start. It's going to be a 1 o'clock Eastern start between the Philadelphia 76ers. They are in Brooklyn looking up to wrap up this series and officially make it a sweep of the Brooklyn Nets. I currently see the line is at 5.5 for the Philadelphia 76ers here. Total is sitting currently at 208.5. This series has been the one series where it's kind of been the ugly, grinded out type of series. Points have been at a premium. Defensive intensity has been up, or maybe just Brooklyn's offense just is not good enough right now at this juncture of the season. Because they really just don't have a really true score. It's a lot of wing guys on this team. But Scott, let me start with you here. It looked like in game 3 was the opportunity for the Brooklyn Nets to win that game or win a game in this series. But they just had a dejected look on their face after that game was over. I think the series is over tomorrow. What are your thoughts on the spread here?
I think the series is over as well. Simply put, the Nets were basically handed the game on a platter. Harden got ejected. I think Embiid should have, but still, the point is that they had a great chance to win the game, and then they choked. No other way around it. They scored 1 point in the final 2+ minutes, and they ended up getting outscored. I believe it was 11-1 in that stretch. They were up 5 with a couple minutes to go, and they choked it. This team can't score, just simply put. I mean, you're looking at the supporting cast. Dinwiddie actually had a decent game. He was pretty bad down the stretch, but he had a decent game. You're looking at Royce O'Neal, who had the bad turnover on the inbound, but he still wasn't exactly that productive. Finney Smith hit 1 shot. He wasn't that good either. Bridges was fine, I guess. Claxton was fine, but then he got ejected. At the end of the day, the Nets don't have many weapons, and I am a little bit concerned about Embiid's injury, so I'm curious how effective he's going to be, or if he'll be able to move that much. But still, I just don't think the Nets have enough scoring options. Maxey can do whatever he wants. Harden was doing well before he got ejected. He had 21 points, I believe. But I think at the end of the day, I'm looking at a team that really is just outmatched. So I'm going to go with Philly here. I think they get swept. I think the Nets get swept.
Bit of a little, sorry, Delonte, before I get you, maybe surprise or no surprise, but Kawhi already ruled out for tomorrow. But we'll get to that game.
Yeah, make my handicap very, very much different.
Yeah, we'll get to that game right after we're done with this one. But Delonte, kind of get your thoughts on Game 3, on what you saw there, and then your thoughts on Game 4 here, as Philly is favored by 5.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, I echo all of what you guys have said. It's just that I don't get what the Nets are trying to accomplish. Like the doubles is clearly killing them. Like, and Vaughn hasn't adjusted. Like you said, I think if they were going to win a game, it was going to be that Game 3. They didn't win it. Scott mentioned I guess the poor look on their faces and how they were pretty much in shock that they. I don't know if they were in shock that they didn't cover the game or if they were in shock because they just lost the game outright. So, but either way, I think they're just a little bit overmatched here, which pretty much all of us thought in the beginning. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much over. It just depends on how bad the Sixers want to come out and beat them. Scott mentioned the Embiid injury. I do think that he'll be more so limited depending on how the game flow goes. So I'll be looking to attack some Paul Reed stuff. But overall, man, I don't think the Nets might lay down. If the Sixers come out and can withstand that first wave and the first quarter, the Nets hitting a couple shots, they'll lay down. I think they'll lay down. So I like the Sixers laying the 5.5.
I asked Chris this on the propcast today. I want to get your thoughts on it as well. What are your thoughts on should they sit Embiid in this game, or do you just go for the kill and just sweep the series and not have to worry about playing?
Yeah, that's a good
because
question.
he is dealing with all those injuries, right?
Yeah, I guess you see how he looks starting off, and then you kind of monitor what's going on and how the game is flowing. And if you get up big, I would kind of like sit him or try to stagger his minutes. Maybe not play him as much. I'm not sure what his minute count was in the last game. I don't know if you have that in front of you or not.
I can get it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what he played, but I would probably cut that like in the thirds because I mean, technically they don't really need him to be able to withstand some of the things that the Nets do. They actually might benefit them a lot more because they'll get out and start running and let Maxey run the show, and they'll be a little bit more downsized.
Yeah, he played 38 in the last game.
Yeah, so I would definitely he wouldn't play over 30 for me. Like if I was Rivers, I wouldn't play him over 30 because I mean you got to forecast to the next series. So losing him, pretty much the season's done after if you lose Embiid. So it's kind of that question of rest over rust. You kind of want to get him out there so he gets in a little bit more rhythm and not play him as much, or do you want to, like you said, go for the kill? I'm in the camp of seeing how the game flows and starting him out, as regular, and then kind of staggering his minutes, seeing how each of these guys do. So, I guess that's kind of a cop-out answer, but I would probably just play him like 22 to 25 minutes.
Scott, any thoughts on that?
For me, I think Philly would potentially win either way. I think they're going to use Embiid just because if they win this game, then they're off for basically a week and change anyway. Mm-hmm. So they might just go for it. But I would limit his minutes. Embiid, you can make an argument, has been effective as kind of a decoy in a way because of the fact that you're looking at how Embiid has been doubled every time he has the ball, no matter how far away he is from the basket.
Yep.
I think it's a really dumb strategy, especially with Embiid being injured, but still they're going to keep doing it. Right. So maybe you can tell Embiid to be more of a decoy in this game and go from there. But in reality, I'm not sure if it matters. The Nets, once again, just cannot score the basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something like that. If the Sixers score 102 points, like we're not like that's all they need to do because the Nets have been inept on offense. They got to 101 in game 1, but games 2 and 3 was at 84 and 97 points for the Brooklyn Nets. So defensively, you got to give the Sixers a lot of credit for what they've been able to do. It almost seems like an obvious answer here. Maybe let's get over to the total here. 208.5. Scott, any chance of this getting over this number?
There's a chance. I'm not going to take the over. I'm going with the under because the Nets once again just aren't a good offensive team. I think that Philly, with Embiid being injured, and even Harden kind of tweaked his ankle a little bit in the last game before he left, I think they're going to have to play slow because Embiid cannot run up and down the court. And that was when he was healthy. But now with the injuries, I don't exactly see his ability to run up and down the court improving under any circumstance. But I do think at the end of the day, you're going to see a slower pace because of the injuries with that Philly's dealing with. I like the under in this game.
Delonte, total?
Yeah, I'm leaning to the under, but I can kind of see if it can go over depending upon what they do with Embiid. Like Scott said, with him in the lineup, they're not going to want to push the pace. But with him out of the lineup, they probably would be able to dictate some pace, and that could lead to some, easy buckets for both teams. So I can kind of see a way for the over. And I'm not going to bet it, but I would much rather play the under, thinking that both teams will have trouble scoring. But I can see a path to the over if they downsize and Embiid plays that 22 to 25 minute threshold and Paul Reed's in the game. Now, Paul Reed's obviously not a gazelle by any means, but he actually is faster and can run up and down the court faster than Embiid. So that might benefit the over here. I'm not going to take the chance because obviously we don't know 100% what Doc is going to do with Embiid. So for that reason, I'll go to the under.
All right, let's get over to some player props in this game. Delonte, lead us off. What do you like in this game?
I like two player props actually. So I'm liking Tobias Harris under 14.5 points. I think that he's been playing extremely well the past 3 games. I think some of that comes back down, or I think he comes back down to earth. The doubling of Embiid obviously is getting these guys literally wide open looks. So they're pretty much shooting practice for him. So I think that kind of comes to a halt with Embiid hobbled, and they might not be able to double him as much or might not have to. So for that reason, I like him under 14.5 points. What's the other one that I had? My bad. Oh, Cam Johnson over 17.5 points. So he's averaging 21 in the series. He's shooting 50% from 3. I mean, he is the only one that, even Bridges at times just looks like he's just like tired, and he looks like more because he's doing more defensively, obviously, than Cam Johnson. So I think that Cam is in for another big night. The Sixers, I don't know how motivated they'll be. Now, they should be highly motivated to get that rest and close them out, but I like Cam Johnson to be able to get some wide open looks and knock down a couple threes. So I like him over his point total.
Scott, player props?
Well, taking centers under has not worked out, but I feel like I have to lean to Embiid under. I mean, at the end of the day, he's gone under in every game. You're looking at the back injury now, the flopping on the floor, which the refs weren't exactly falling for in game 3. I just feel like with everything Embiid's dealing with and the fact that the Nets are double teaming him on every touch anyway, even though we think it's a dumb idea, I feel like his points prop's still going to be based on reputation. Now, it's going to be moved down a little bit, but he had 10 points halfway through the fourth quarter? Of game 3, he wasn't even close. I feel like based on how the Nets have defended him, and once again the back being an issue, I have to at least mention Embiid unders.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I see 27.5 right now for his points prop.
How does that make sense based on how he's played the first 3 games?
Yeah, so everybody go play Embiid to score 30 tomorrow, since Scott likes
pretty much. Yeah.
I was looking at Tyrese Maxey. I think obviously he's been the beneficiary with these double teams. And he's also getting the 3-point shot looks as well. He's attempted 21 3-point shots alone over the last 2 games. He's knocked down 5 and 6. He's had a total of 40 field goal attempts as well. And again, the game on Thursday, a lot of it has to do with James Harden being ejected from that game. But I think that this is going to be an opportunity that if we're thinking that Embiid's minutes are limited, or if they continue double teaming him, Maxey has to be that one guy that gets over his point total. I currently see that at 20.5. He's put up 25 and 33 in the last 2 games for the Sixers. His 3-point prop is at 2.5, but it's a little bit juiced at -140. I don't hate that. If you want to buy that up to maybe 4 makes, you could get some better odds on that. But I think that was the one that I was looking at. Agree about Cam Johnson as well. He's looked like the one consistent player, at least for the Nets in this series, as far as points prop goes. Anything else for this game, guys? Nope. All right.
I don't think I have much. No.
Okay. All right. Before we continue the conversation here, let me tell everyone about Underdog Fantasy. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here, and what better way to get down on some player prop parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides daily NHL, NBA, and MLB games, they've already got NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. Again, that's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. It must be a slow night over at the SGPN headquarters because Sean Green, our esteemed leader in Boss, is checking in, saying that feels like it might be a Harden game and Maxey has been balling. So, yeah, can't argue with either one of those. I know we talked about Harden dealing with some injury, so he may not be as effective, but I agree about 100% about Maxey. All right, guys, let's go over to the next game of the night, or the afternoon, I should say. It's going to be a 3:30 Eastern start. We have the Phoenix Suns. They are in LA to take on the Clippers. Currently seeing the Suns, and this should be an updated number based on what I just said about Kawhi Leonard, already ruled out for this game. This number is now up to 7.5 in favor of the Phoenix Suns. Total has not, I think the total moved down. I think half a point here. Let me double check. Just trying to get this banner updated for you guys. Total is at 225, so it's down about 1.5 points from what it was posted at. Let's start with the side here. Scott, why don't you lead us off? Minus 7.5 in favor of the Clippers against the Clippers in LA.
I think it's pretty tricky because Phoenix is clearly the more talented team. But that was also the case in game 3, and they just straight up let Norman Powell go for 40-plus points, and Westbrook went for 30, 12, and 8, I believe. It feels like Phoenix knows that they're the better team, but they just don't have the defensive focus that they need, or maybe the personnel. I'm not really sure. But either way, defensively, the Suns have left a lot to be desired in this series. So my favorite play is the over. I don't see much defense being played in this game, especially with Kawhi being out. The Clippers don't really have any good defenders on the roster now, besides a little bit of Terrence Mann. They played Covington 4 minutes. Does that count as good defensive play for 4 minutes?
Sorry before I interrupt you. Joel Embiid ruled out for Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can revisit that into the pod. So, sorry, go ahead and keep going with this game.
I think for the sake of personnel and everything, I think I have to lean to Phoenix. At the end of the day, Booker went for 40 and change, and I still don't think the Clippers can guard him. In fact, I know for a fact they can't guard him. Durant at some point can go for 40 at any time, and nobody would be shocked. Chris Paul hasn't exactly shot the ball well. Ayton, we know, can have some moments here. The Clippers did start to go smaller, which I recommended in the last podcast, and it kind of worked out well for them. But the game was close because Norman Powell and Westbrook combined for 70-plus points. I think Durant and Booker combining for 70 is a bit more likely. Hot take. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with the Suns here. I'm expecting either Powell or Westbrook to fall back down to earth. And I think with that being the case, the Suns probably win this game by double digits. But I think the Clippers hang in there for probably a couple quarters, and then the Suns blow it open late. And I think they win by like 12.
I think when we talk about when it comes down to clutch time, obviously we trust the big 3 or 2.5, if you want to say, of the Suns more, right? Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul. He's good in clutch time as well. But yeah, I just don't see a scenario where Norman Powell drops another 42 points in this game. And again, what's the mentality for this Clippers team? I know
gotta be defeated.
Like you didn't have Paul George coming into this series. Now Kawhi Leonard is going to miss back-to-back games with a knee injury. And it's just kind of kill. I mean, all the guys are going to say all the right stuff like, hey, man, next man up, we're a team here, whatever the case might be. But when you don't have your 2 best players, it's difficult. And again, the efforts that some of these guys are putting up, like we just talked about Norman Powell putting up 42 points in a losing effort, I think it deflates you a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm at. But Delonte, spread?
Yeah. I like Scott said, I like the Suns long term, like as far as covering the number. First quarter, first half, I'll be on the Clippers. It's a quick turnaround, which is probably likely an advantage for the Clippers. They're a deeper team. They got more bodies throughout. Booker and KD are playing the most minutes per game in the playoffs. CP3 is 8. So they got 3 guys in the top 10 of minutes played. Obviously, we know their depth issues are a concern. And I just think the Clippers will come out. They'll have, what's it called? Like the bump of, Kawhi being out again. It's the same number essentially as the close was in game 3. So I don't think it's much of a difference. If, like Scott said, I mean, obviously, Booker's going to do him. KD, I don't think has had a good offensive game. Maybe he's had a decent one, but he hasn't had a like, oh, okay, we had a KD game, if that makes sense. So I think that he's in line to go for 35 to 40. And Chris Paul's been struggling. He's passing up open shots. He's not hitting his mid-range jumpers. So maybe that comes to fruition a little bit more. I look for KD to put his imprint on this game, and knowing he could get some rest. They all can get some practice time together, get more continuity. So I think that they come out a little bit sluggish at first, and then the Clippers, lay down a little bit, because it's only so much you can do. Like you said, Munaf, without their two best players, I mean, it's got to be like as a team, that's got to be like demoralizing, especially after how well you played in game one. Like that was one of the better games that they played as a team I've seen all year, even without Paul George. So that's got to be somewhat defeating to know that you're not going to be without both of your leaders and two of the best players in the NBA. So
yeah,
I think that gets to him here. I'll lay the points with the Suns, but I'll be on the Clippers first quarter, first half for sure.
It's funny we say we haven't seen like KD statement game, but he's like casually putting like a 28, 25, 27 in the first three games. It's because we're just so used to him, like when he was with Brooklyn and Kyrie and Harden weren't there because of injuries and things like that, that we're just so used to him putting up like 35 plus a game. Where now with Phoenix, he doesn't have to do that, right? Like we talked about, like Devin Booker is there. Like Booker had 45 last night. In 45 minutes, and then you got contributions from Torrey Craig and some clutch 3-point shots. So we might get this Kevin Durant game here in game 4 for the Phoenix Suns, where he drops 35, 40 plus like Devin Booker did in game 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think this is the Suns. Like Clippers do their best to keep it close within 3.5 quarters, and eventually I just think that the Phoenix Suns pull away. Current total is sitting at 225. We've seen a minimum of 225 points in each of the 3 games so far. Game 3 finished up with 253 points, 232 in game 2, and then 225 in game 1. Scott, thoughts on the total? We continue seeing points in the series, or do you think it slows down?
Yeah, my favorite play in the game is the over, or at least Suns team total over. I haven't seen either team really try to stop the other team in this game. And Phoenix knows at the end of the day, they got Booker and KD, who once again can combine for 80 at any point. I don't see much defense with, especially Kawhi being out and Westbrook being the main guy. They play faster because Westbrook wants to play fast. I see pace being a factor here. Clippers went a bit smaller, so I do think they're going to go even faster because Zubac might play less. But I am going to go with the over in this game. Until I see somebody guard somebody, I'm going to take the over.
All right. Delonte, total?
Yeah, I'm with you on the over. Scott actually brought up a brilliant point earlier when he said about the Clippers playing smaller. In the fourth quarter, they were playing basically like Terrence Mann as their 5.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Batum who played the 5 on the podcast, but the idea stayed the same.
Super small, and they're able to get out and run, spreading the floor out a lot more. The Suns, I guess that what they were trying to do was basically like wear down the starters, but it just wasn't working because Booker was hitting everything, so it kind of didn't matter. But the idea was pretty brilliant for them to go that small and create mismatches, because they basically have to take Ayton off the floor because he can't guard either Batum or Mann. So kind of a smart plan, and the pace was just up and down. So I agree with the over. More so the Suns team total over, because I don't think the Clippers will be able to stop them once they get geared up. So if you kind of want to go first half under, second half over, that might be correlated also being, with the quick turnaround, the Suns being pretty much lethargic coming out. That's maybe another place to play it. But overall, I like the total going over.
I did see campaign was questionable officially. I don't know if that makes a difference. And obviously, it helps having another body.
Yeah,
out
I think
there,
it does.
especially someone to have another ball handler out there, right? Because Chris Paul hasn't played the minutes, obviously, that Devin Booker and Kevin Durant have played. He's played 35, 32, and 33. But again, if you get campaign back, I think that's only a boost for this team that has kind of been lacking and been thin on the bench. But player props in this game, Scott, lead us off. Anything that you do like?
Overs on either Booker or Durant. I'm trying to think of what adjustment the Clippers are going to make. Are they just going to start double teaming Booker? Like I don't know. They're screwed either way, but you can't let the same guy go for 40 basically 3 straight games. So is this a Durant game? Do they start double teaming Booker, or do they just let him go for 40 every time?
I don't think you can. I mean, look, if you double him, then Kevin Durant's going to go for 40.
There's no right answer. Like, they're screwed either way. They clearly don't have the personnel to guard this team. I'm just wondering, do they just blindly let Booker? Because we get talking about the adjustments the Clippers might make, any adjustment would involve Booker not dropping a 40 piece on your head.
Yeah. I
So,
agree.
I mean, are we looking at them double team? I have no idea. I still am blindly going to go with the over on Booker and Durant, though, because Durant's been very good in the series, and he hasn't had to force anything. If Durant gets the green light to take like 20 shots in a game, he will go for 40.
Yes.
Like, it's going to happen. He just hasn't had the volume enough because Booker can't miss.
Right.
Yeah, Booker's points prop right now is at 30.5. Kevin
Jesus
Durant's at
Christ,
28.5. Any other player props, Scott?
I mean, if I'm going to keep going with the jokes here, Zubac under, because, why not? At the end of the day, everything I just said was they did well when they went smaller. And I think that if you use Zubac, your pick and roll defense on Booker is completely screwed. It's not good either way, but Zubac just doesn't have any lateral quickness. So he doesn't really have the ability to actually, get out there on the perimeter and force Booker into some tough shots. So I am just going to go with Zubac under because we saw it in game 2. There's really no reason to play him that many minutes. Not to mention the fact that Plumlee's also on the roster.
Yeah, I agree. Delonte, player props.
Yeah, I'll continue that trend for you, Scott, because I like Ayton under 26.5 points and rebounds combined. He's under in 2 of the last 3 games. Only went over by half a point in the game that he did go over. He had 27 points and rebounds. The Clippers doing a really good job pushing him out the paint and, being physical with him with both of those bigs, especially with Zubac. Zubac is basically manhandling him like he's not even there. Yeah. He's failed to score over 14 in the last 2 games, which I think is pretty much indicative of how well the Clippers front line has been doing against him. So I don't think he has much success here. Like we said, I think it's going to be a KD, Chris Paul type of game, or at least from my perspective. And I'll translate it into KD over rebounds and assists, 12.5. Basically in the second quarter, like whenever the second quarter starts, Chris Paul basically takes a break. And Monty had like the first game he just left KD in the game and Booker and Paul sat. Then the game 2, he left Booker in and KD and Chris Paul sat. In game 3, he left both KD and Booker in and just let Chris Paul sit. And I think that lineup was a little bit more effective, and it allowed Kevin Durant to be more involved, like ball handling duties, while also crashing the glass to help out Ayton. So he's averaging 14 in the series. So I think he should be in line for a near triple double. His triple doubles at 25-1. I see it at DraftKings right now. So I would sprinkle a little bit on that, but definitely would play his over 12.5 points. Rebounds and assists.
Yeah, I agree about the DeAndre Ayton play. It's just, man, they just need to get more out of him, especially just kind of take that pressure off of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker having to be those guys every single night. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, Devin Booker has just been absolutely on fire, and look, just the pure shot volume that he's going to get every single night. Like you can't play an under with him, right? Like because of the last 2 games, or at least in all 3 games so far, he's attempted 19, 22, and then last game 29 attempts for Devin Booker. So yeah, I'm not gonna. I can't take an under with Devin Booker. I would just go to Russell Westbrook, man. I mean, obviously he's gonna have the ball in his hands a lot. The usage rates goes through the roof when Kawhi Leonard's not on the floor. Last game without Kawhi Leonard in game 3. 40 minutes, 11 of 23 from the floor, 3 of 7 from three-point line. He finished up with 30 points, 12 assists in that game. He's also been filling it up from the defensive stats perspective. 3 steals, 1 block in game 3. He had 2 steals, 3 blocks in game 1, and then 2 blocks in game 2. So if we're going to look at a blocks prop or a steals and blocks prop for Russell Westbrook, he's been getting it done on the defensive side of the ball as well. Anything else for this game, guys?
No, I think that's it.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I actually like. Are we
Craig
going back
three?
to Chris Paul just unders, whether it involves points, whether it involves assists? Because assists I know he's usually good at, but with Booker's offense, he's mostly in isolation anyway, or he's mostly the primary ball handler for pick and rolls. So is Chris Paul really benefiting much in those situations? Because I don't know after the last 2 games why they wouldn't just always put the ball in Booker's hands or Durant's hands and just let him go to work.
Yeah, they're putting Chris Paul in the corner, spot up. And
so, I'll take the under for assists and for points because, once again, Chris Paul being a spot-up shooter tells you at this stage in his career, they recognize mutually that it's better if Booker just has the ball in his hands by default.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, he got up 18 shots in game 3. Obviously, like you guys mentioned, that's because they're probably just putting him in the corner and just letting him shoot. His points prop is 20, sorry, not 20, 13 and a half. I think the books have probably adjusted a little bit there.
Yeah, it's coming down every game. It's coming down. It was like
Yeah.
17 and a half, 15 and a half, and now 13 and a half.
Yeah. Torrey Craig threes, I don't hate. It is at 1.5 at minus 130. He's hit 2 or more in all 3 games so far in this series. The volume is not quite there, but he's been efficient at least hitting them. He's really getting those open looks as well. So I don't hate that. Quickly, before we move on, I want to see what Russell Westbrook's defensive props are for this game. Let's see. Steals and blocks. Westbrook it's off the board right now because of the Kawhi Leonard news. So maybe we can chime back in once they do repost the player props because of the news. All right, guys. Before we get to the night games, let me tell everyone about the SGPN merch store. From now till the end of the month of April, in honor of the NBA playoffs, you get 10% off of anything in the SGPN merch store when you use promo code SGPNBA. So head over to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com and use promo code SGPNBA to get 10% off of everything in the merch store. Grab your NBA Gambling Podcast gear. They have some great coffee mugs for a coffee drinker, hoodies, T-shirts. I know they on Monday they dropped the tribute T-shirt to Mike Leach. So he was a great friend of the show. So a little nice commemoration to Mike Leach. So make sure to get yourself one and also get 10% off when you use SGPNBA. All right, gentlemen, let's get over to the third game on the schedule for tomorrow on Saturday. It's going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. They are in South Beach to take on the Miami Heat. This series is now 1-1. Saw the game 2 victory by the Milwaukee Bucks. I do see Giannis is officially questionable for this game, for game 3. We'll see if he plays or not. But currently, right now, seeing the line at 5.5 with a total set at 220 and a half. Delonte, lead us off, my man. Bucks minus 5.5.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Miami. Miami's only been a home dog 5 times this year, 3-2 ATS in those games. Now, contrast to that, the Bucks are 16-7-3 ATS as a road favorite. But like the Giannis thing, kind of, it's I don't know what to think about it. Like if he comes back, how effective is he going to be? And if he's out, this number probably will close like closer to like 2.5, 3 Milwaukee. Now, obviously, Miami wasn't going to shoot as good in game 2 as they did game 1. And Milwaukee's definitely not going to shoot as good as they did in game 2 and game 3, especially on the road. So I think balance comes into fruition here. I don't like Miami's rotation without Hero. So they're searching for that third scorer. So they're kind of having to get a collective effort from 2 or 3 guys to feel what Tyler Hero can do. But off the dribble and creating their own shots, they don't have just a lot of guys to be able to do that. So they're going to be relying a lot on Jimmy Butler. I just don't know how effective Giannis is going to be. If he was a full go, I would be on Milwaukee. But even when he came back, like he didn't look good at all. Now he has had 4 or 5 days to get right. But I think Spo's going to have something drawn up for Milwaukee. Definitely won't hit as many threes. So I like Miami to keep a slow pace, grind out type of game. And they'll keep it close. I think they'll keep it close and maybe come out with a outright win.
I think that with or without Giannis, I agree with my guy Capper. I think that I still think the Bucks dominate. Yeah, I think they're just a better team. But
no, they are.
Yeah, but that's also the point that you made there, Delonte, is that for the Miami Heat, that they're looking for that third scorer, right? Like, who's going to be that guy? Like Bam he's been okay this series. Jimmy Butler has really been having to carry this team on its back. But after Tyler Hero, it's like, okay, you're relying on one of these shooters like Gabe Vincent or Max Strus to step up. And it's not really that consistency where you talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. Even without Giannis on the floor, like, you know what you're going to get out of Drew Holiday. You know what you're going to get out of Chris Middleton. you know what you're going to get out of Brook Lopez as well. And then you get a game from either a Grayson Allen or Pat Covington like they got in game 2, right? So at least I know there's 3 guys that I can definitely rely on for the Milwaukee Bucks side, and that 4th guy is a shooter that I'm not having to stress out about or sweat over. So I just think this Milwaukee team is better. I'm going to lay the points here with the Bucks. I think I've been chalking all 3 games here so far, but I just like Scott. I think Scott agrees that this Milwaukee Bucks team is just, head and toe better than this Miami Heat team. Scott?
Well, based on the trend that was going around for the last couple of days, which I know ended up losing with the Suns based on the closing line, the opening line still got there for Phoenix, which is just pick the team to win the game. And if they win the game, they're going to cover. I'm picking Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee's winning in 5. I don't think Miami's a good basketball team. I've been criticizing them for a while. They've been playing faster to try to generate some offense because their offense is really, really bad in the half court. And we saw in game 2, they can't stop Milwaukee. In fact, everybody on Milwaukee had a good game. So I don't even know where you go from there, to be honest. Everybody on Milwaukee was very good offensively in that game too. I just think Milwaukee's better. I mean, they got the size in the interior with Lopez and with Portis. They have the shooting on the outside, whether it's Middleton, whether it's Holiday, also as a distributor. But Connaughton had a good game. Grayson Allen could shoot a little bit. They got a lot of options. Yeah. Miami without Hero really doesn't have much. You got Vincent, Mike, you have Strus. Besides them, you're looking at Duncan Robinson. Shout out to him. Forgot he was still in the league, who had hit like 4 threes in game 2. The point is, I really, really like Milwaukee supporting cast a lot more than Miami's. So I got to go with Milwaukee. I just don't think Miami's a good basketball team.
Thoughts on the total, Scott? 220.5?
I think this game should be more low scoring than game 2, which doesn't say much because that game had like 290 points. Exaggerating, but still. I'm going to go with the over here. I just think that Miami is fully set in stone on playing faster because they split going faster. So I don't see them slowing it into a crawl because I think Milwaukee actually benefits the slower the game is because we've seen Miami's half-court offense. It's really not good. So I'm going to go with the over. Do you think Miami plays slower? Because I don't know why that would benefit them. At least if you play faster, you can argue 3-point variance. Maybe we pull off a win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to shoot a lot of threes anyway. So I think they got to slow it down because they got to make the Bucks, play in the half court because they get out, start running, get transition threes. I think it's going to be trouble. So I think it's correlated. I think if you like the Bucks, you like the over. If you like the Heat, you like the under. Simply because if the Bucks get out and start rolling, they're hitting threes. Their defense is good enough to stop. I mean, Miami's offense, they got the second worst offense remaining in the playoffs. So, I mean, their offense isn't going to do anything spectacular.
That's based on regular season numbers, right? Not playoffs?
Yeah, just regular season. Yeah, regular season.
I don't have the playoff numbers in front of me, but I'm assuming Miami's actually decent in the playoffs so far. Because
of that first game.
Well, even the second game, they got killed, but they still scored a decent amount of points.
Yeah, they had a big fourth quarter, right?
Worst. Yeah. Again, that was probably because they started a lot of the main guys as well because they were up by 20 plus points headed into that fourth quarter.
But I'm assuming Miami's ahead of Brooklyn. They're probably ahead of the Knicks and Cleveland. So they're probably So I think they're going to keep playing faster because they can't score if they play slow.
Yeah, but I think they also have to rely on their 3-point shooting as well, right? Because Gabe Vincent has, and my guy UCAP are pointing out that Gabe Vincent has been really good in this series as well. Max Strus, we know he can knock down the 3-point shot as well. So let's get over to some player props then. Scott, what do you like in this game?
For player props, for me, I'm going to stick with the Bucks. I'm going to go with Drew Holiday assists. I'm going to take the over there. He's been really good with the ball in his hands, and he hasn't exactly needed to look for a shot that much. He's mostly been a great floor general, and that's what they need. And whether Giannis plays or not, I think Giannis would potentially take on less offensive responsibility because I doubt Milwaukee would want to use Giannis, compromised Giannis, to the same degree of letting him just handle all of the responsibility. I think as a result, you'll see Holiday have the ball in his hands a lot. I like Holiday assist.
Delonte, any player props?
Yeah, so I'm staying away from the Milwaukee stuff until I get a definite on Giannis because obviously those numbers are going to fluctuate. So I'm staying away from that, but I don't hate what Scott just said about Drew. I was on him last game. He had a pretty good game. But if Giannis is out, I'm assuming he'll be more aggressive as he was earlier. And I mean, obviously those guys aren't going to hit a lot of those threes that they hit. I think they hit a playoff record, if I'm not mistaken. for the
25, I
threes.
think they hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a
I
guy
don't, know if it
that
was I don't know if it was the full game record or it was just the record through 3 quarters.
okay, maybe
But
so. Yeah, maybe you're right. So we were talking about those guys that were making up for Hero. So one of the guys that we didn't mention was Caleb Martin. I like him over 9.5 points. He's at 15 in game 1 and 2. Played 25 plus minutes in both games also. So he's likely to be, beneficiary of more minutes with Hero out and Spo not trusting Duncan Robinson or Oladipo at the time. He shot the ball well in both games. So I think he has a pretty good game with the more minutes. He should see about 28 to 30 minutes in this game if Spo does what I think he's going to do and just not play Hero and play Oladipo in spurts. So I like him, Caleb Martin over 9.5 points.
Yeah, Caleb Martin has been doing really well in the last 2 games for the Miami Heat. I agree with that about that. Gabe Vincent as well. You kept pointing it out in the chat. Vincent over PRA, but Milwaukee still gets it done. Vincent has been that guy since Hero has been out. Yeah, I mean, the numbers are backing it up for sure as well. I agree with Scott 100% about Jrue Holiday, whether you want to take points and assists or just his assists alone. I think if Giannis does end up playing, I'll still take Jrue Holiday's assists. If he doesn't play, probably look at his PRA or just his points and assists because he's been crushing it without Giannis this season. Then I think he flew over the number in game 2 without Giannis playing for the Milwaukee Bucks. So those were the one main I was looking at for Jrue Holiday. Anything else for this game, guys?
Nope.
That's not for this game. I'm going to point out that fingers crossed, Capella scored 0 points in the 3rd quarter. So we're on to the 4th. We're going to see what happens, but yeah, we needed 0 points in the second half. He scored
he's
0
still on
in the
6
third
for you.
quarter.
You're winning by the hook right now.
He's at 10. Yeah, I got 10.
Oh
and a half.
wow.
Okay.
So he scored 0 points in the 3rd quarter, and they just benched him. So we'll see what happens. He's going to play the 4th, so I'm going to have to sweat it out. But whatever, we'll see what happens.
All right, guys. Last game of the night. It's going to be game 3 between the Memphis Grizzlies. They are headed to LA to take on the Lakers. Lakers currently sitting as a 4-point home favorite. Total is sitting at 220.5. John Moran is officially, I think they said questionable or a game time decision for the Memphis Grizzlies. So we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. But as it stands right now, Lakers are laying 4 points at home. Delonte, lead us off with this game. Lakers -4.
Yeah, so I think it's a must win for the Lakers. They have to win this game. They should have won game 2, but threw up on themselves. I blame mostly Darvin Ham for that because his rotations and how he's playing some of these guys. And
but when you say should have won game 2, do you just mean on paper? Because Memphis kind of just came out and smacked them, and they led basically the entire game.
I think they just looked disinterested too.
They did. Well, if you see, like in the 3rd quarter, was it the 3rd? In the 3rd quarter, they cut it to 4. And
they had it down to like 4 or 5.
Yeah, and then LeBron was about to have an asthma attack, and so he had to get called off, and so he leaves the game. And I think Bane hits a 3, Kennard hits a 3, timeout. They don't, for whatever reason, he doesn't bring LeBron back in, and then Tillman grabs like 2 rebounds, scores.
Wait, so let me get this straight. You're saying they pulled LeBron because of an asthma attack, and you're complaining they didn't pull LeBron back in the game? Like, I'm really confused right now. Man, what?
Listen.
He had to get his inhaler. Come on, man.
Man, you better get 2 pumps and get back on the floor. You got to win this game. They could have been up 2-0, man. They could have been up 2-0.
If Delonte ever becomes a coach, I would not want to play for Delonte. He's going to be a Nick Nurse. Your ass needs to be out there for 48 minutes.
Hey, Tom Thibodeau, man. Tom Thibodeau.
But yeah, record, man, we're assuming that Ja's not going to play in this game, right?
Well, I'm assuming that he is.
I don't think
you think he is?
You think he is?
I was listening to Chris Vernon, who covers the Grizzlies, and he was basically saying that like he thinks he's going to play. It's a pain tolerance thing, so I don't think it can be further damaged. He was saying that if it's a pain tolerance, like you don't shoot him up, he'll be good to go. Now, how effective he is a different story, but I mean that's probably the closest thing we got to a reporter in Memphis that I've read, and he practiced today. So I mean, obviously,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he practiced today, so I mean, obviously, we don't know what he did. I mean, he could have just been out there shooting free throws and not, actually going through physical, like drills or whatever. But it did say the reports did show that he practiced. So I'm assuming that he's going to go. I don't know how effective he'll be, but I think this is a home run spot for the Lakers. They got to be more aggressive with LeBron. I think he's got to stop trying to take a back seat. We saw late in the 4th quarter of the first game, he was letting Austin Reeves and Rui do their thing. Rightfully so. Those guys were hot. And in game 2, I think he kind of fell back into that more laid back, nonchalant attitude, shooting a lot of threes. Half of his attempts have came from three for the most part, so he hasn't been aggressive. And of course, the Dylan Brooks comments, they don't.
Which
have
is kind
to,
of ironic because he statistically had a better game in game 2 than game 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, man. All things considered, I think it's a perfect spot for the Lakers. Now, usually the Lakers don't show up in perfect spots as they didn't do in game 2. But I think back home, D'Lo will play better. Some of those other guys will play better at home. Now,
But a
Rui
lot of faith
obviously.
in D'Lo over there.
I do, listen. I like D'Lo in this game. I'll get to that later, but I like him in this game. But I'm just concerned about Darvin Ham with his rotations because I just don't understand what he's doing. Malik Beasley should be playing way more minutes. I mean,
it's one way to put it. He's a bad coach. I mean, that's just the simple way of putting it.
I mean, small sample size.
He's not a good coach.
So I gotta see a little bit more. But right now, like I don't like what he's doing with the rotation. Like I like the lineup of LeBron, Rui, and AD at the 3, 4, and 5 because they can switch everything. They can. I mean, LeBron can do pick and roll with AD or Rui. On the pick and roll with AD, Rui's going to be open, which is how he was open in game 1 to hit all those shots because they were having a double AD or blitz LeBron. So if they're blitzing him and doubling LeBron and doubling AD, somebody's got to be open. And obviously Rui was hitting the shots. But yeah, man, I like the Lakers here. They better win. It's a must win for them. I don't care if Josh plays or not. But I don't know how effective he will be if he plays, but I don't think it matters.
I care for the total. I don't know if I care about for the side, but I care about for the total.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, all of that to say, I like the Lakers.
Scott, side, if you have anything.
I think I have to lean to the Lakers. Truth is, I know we talk about LeBron potentially dropping 40 on Brooks's head. Their entire success comes down to Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
He got punked by Xavier Tillman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can we point that out? Like, Tillman just dropped 20 and 13 or 22 and 13 on his head, and AD looked completely disinterested the entire game. So, yes, LeBron could have a big game against Brooks, and nobody would be shocked. But I got to at least point out that a lot of the success for this team or lack thereof comes down to the overall engagement offensively of Anthony Davis. And defensively, we know he's great. I'm all over Anthony Davis blocks. He had, 5 blocks in 2 quarters in game 2. He had 7 blocks in game 1. I mean, I'm just blindly going to take Anthony Davis blocks. But offensively, he was very good in game 1. And it was the story of the regular season. For every one great game or good game that he has about 3 bad games. That's basically the ratio. Maybe 2 to 1. But the point is, if the Lakers plan on winning the series, I know you can make an argument that LeBron could find a way and maybe Reeves has a big game and they have some pieces that could step up. They really need Anthony Davis to dominate because Jaren Jackson's actually been pretty solid offensively in the series. And once again, Tillman dropped 20 points in a game. Like, I have to call out Anthony Davis there because you can't be that good in game 1 and that bad in game 2 and not expect me to call you out on your effort. That was solely an effort issue. There was no aggression. It seemed like he was zoned out the entire game offensively. It happens to him all the time. It doesn't really make any sense. But I got to bring it up because AD needs to have a good game if the Lakers are going to consistently cover spreads in this series because he means so much to what they want to do. And LeBron, for better or worse, he has been a little bit more passive because he knows AD has the ability to go for 40-plus points with getting his opponents in foul trouble. There's a lot of upside to getting AD going. And LeBron is not afraid to take more of a back seat and observe more than in previous years.
So which side are you playing again?
I'm going to go with the Lakers because I think AD plays better.
Yeah, I think that it's just, again, just going back, looking at the body language in game 2. I think the Lakers were just content getting that split. Let's go back home. We have 2 games at home, and let's try to get both those games at home. I think that may have been the mentality for them. But yeah, you're right. I think Anthony Davis looked disengaged. LeBron was a little bit more passive despite him. I think he led the team in scoring in game 2. But I think again, it comes down to supporting cast. Is that we talked about it in game 1. They were able to get 71 points from Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and D'Lo. Now, I'm not saying that they need to get 71 points in game 3 at home, but getting those contributions takes a lot of pressure off of guys like LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I understand that they're superstar players and stars are supposed to shine in the playoffs, but again, your supporting cast needs to also provide that help as well. So I think that, I think AD will have a great game in this in game 3. I think LeBron, will come out motivated. If I was Austin Reeves, I would pull a Julian Edelman and just keep calling him old, like he was doing to Tom Brady. We'll see. I think LeBron has a fantastic game here in the late night game on Saturday night. So I like the Lakers here. I think it's going to be a zigzag theory kind of type of series here. You're back home. The crowd should be, amped. The stars will be out for sure. And I think
Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp will be in the building. I will be shocked.
Is that official or that's speculation?
I'm pretty sure he'll be there.
Oh,
he
should be there. Yeah, he should be there. But yeah, again, I think this is a good spot for the Lakers at -4 total. Scott, I know you said you prefer to play on the total here, but what do you got? 220.5.
It comes down to Ja. If Ja plays him on the over, if Ja doesn't play him on the under, because Memphis has to play a lot uglier with Ja out of the lineup, but defensively, they're really good. The problem is with Ja is that, and it's why some people, maybe myself included, think they might be better off without Ja in certain situations.
Wait a minute. What's going on here? What the hell is going on? Better without him?
I think the record speaks for itself. I'll put it that way. I think I'll put it this way. For a superstar player, Memphis has a lot more success without him than other teams do when their superstars out.
So you think they're a 2 seed if Ja's on the Pistons? There's a 2 seed as constructed.
The Grizzlies, I think that they're probably like a 4 or a 5. Once again, I think Ja is a great regular season player, but in the playoffs, his defense gets exposed all the time, which is why I have to point out Ja being out is why I like the under, because defensively, I think they'll look really good. The pace is going to be hideous, but if Ja plays, they're going to try to play faster, and Ja can't really guard anybody. So I like Reeves props if Ja's going to play. I mean, that was the story of game 1. LeBron stood in the corner for the entire fourth quarter, and Reeves and AD picked and rolled the team to death. I'm not saying that Ja's like an overrated player, but I'm at least pointing out that defensively he leaves a lot to be desired. And in playoff basketball, you kind of need your players, especially superstars, to buy in on both ends.
Yep, I agree.
I don't think he buys in on both ends. It's not Trae Young bad, but it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think
is that a hot take, Delonte? Do you agree with that or no?
Well, no. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with his defensive like prowess or anything, because I don't think he is. I just don't think he tries that much. He gambles a lot simply because you got Jaren Jackson Jr. on the back.
That's the point, though. Like, he's not. It's a playoff series. Like you have to try on defense. Like I don't understand. It's like he could be. It's like what they hear about Anthony Edwards. He's a very good defensive player when he tries. That's great. You're in a playoff series. Can you try to play defense? Like, what does that even mean? I think Edwards is a good defensive player, but why would you not try to be good at defense all the time in must-win games? Like, I don't understand it. Ja's a bad defensive player. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's go to some player props, guys. Delonte, lead us off. Any player props you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about D'Lo earlier, so I think 2 props are correlated. I think him over 15.5 points and Austin Reeves over 4.5 assists. So what I'm hoping Ham does is he sees how bad D'Lo has been on the ball, and he takes him off the ball and turns him into more of a combo guard, which is technically what he is. He's not a point guard. He just can pass a little bit better than an actual combo guard.
Wait, hang on a second. You're expecting Darvin Ham to make an actual adjustment? Hang on a second. What?
After you just shitted on
after all you roasted him for?
Listen, I mean, but this is obvious. Like
it's obvious to us. Yeah, I thought the Clippers should have been playing smaller, and it took Ty Lue 3 games.
That's true. Maybe I got too much.
There's something in the LA water. That's just what it is.
Maybe I got, but my thing is, what I'm thinking is that LeBron is a little bit more aggressive, and with LeBron being a little bit more aggressive, the ball will be out of D'Lo's hands and more so in Austin Reeves' hands, where he's better at in the pick and roll. Him and AD's pick and roll is, I think, among like the top 10 and points per pick and roll in this postseason. So I think that D'Lo has a good shooting night, and they take him off the ball. So I like Austin Reeves over 4.5 assists. It's at plus money. You can get like 120, 130 if you shop around. And D'Lo over 15.5 points.
Scott, player props.
Anthony Davis blocks.
Yep.
Just give it to me. Just give it to me. It doesn't matter. Just give me the over on blocks. Do I think Tillman has a really bad game because AD takes it personally that he got punked by Xavier Tillman? I got to see what his props are going to be for Tillman, but I'm keeping an eye on him. Maybe a sneaky double-double play. I know how sneaky it is because he just had one, but I'm thinking about it. What else do I like? I mean, if Ja's out, give me the Tyus Jones assists. That's just a given.
Yeah, 100%.
If Ja's out. A lot of the props for Memphis, though, are up in the air because I really need to see who's playing their starting point guard. So I got to wait and see. Like, Kennard threes, I don't mind. He got a decent amount of run last game. Bane has really not shot the ball well, but the volume is there. So you can make an argument for him. But I like LeBron points. I'm hoping that he has one of those games where he just shuts up Dillon Brooks. And Dillon Brooks is going to be calling to guard him, even though LeBron's numbers against Brooks as the primary defender are phenomenal. LeBron's cooked him on a regular basis. So I like LeBron props as well. I'm hoping Anthony Davis shows up offensively, but I just can't fully trust him. So I think my main props are going to be Anthony Davis blocks. I like Reeves assists if Ja plays, and if Ja doesn't play, I'll take Tyus Jones assists. And Kennard threes, I'm tempted by.
Yeah, I'm there with you with Anthony Davis. I think that's an automatic play on the over for his blocks. I mean, he's just been a monster, at least blocking shots in the first
It's
two
going to be
games.
like a juice 2.5, but once again, he's had 5 in the first half of like each of the first 2 games.
I play 4 and get like plus money. You can probably get even money on 4.
3.5.
Or maybe you can take steals and blocks if you want to try to, because you can get some steals every now and then too.
Yep. Anything else for this game, guys?
Nope.
Nope. We can revisit the Joel Embiid news that we did get. So he's officially ruled out for game 4 here. I'm trying to pull up the updated number.
I see 2.5.
Okay. You see a 2.5?
Philly.
I say 2.5 Philly.
Yeah. Okay.
Philly. Nothing changed about my initial thought.
Okay.
You can make an argument actually that Philly might be better off without him for this game because Embiid really couldn't move the entire game, and the Nets were still doubling. I get the spacing for 3-point shooters definitely helped out, but once again, Embiid had like 10 points halfway through the fourth quarter, and we've seen Philly before without Embiid. I'm not saying they're better without him, but we've seen them play well in regular season games when Embiid's out of the lineup. They use Paul Reed more. They're not afraid to experiment with the lineups more. Once again, it doesn't change the fact that the Nets can't score. And we've seen them without Embiid on the court, and their defense is still solid. Like, I think that they're just a good defensive team, and the Nets, once again, just don't have offensive talent. So I'm still going to lean to Philly. They might play faster. They can afford to get away with more stuff offensively, Philly. They can be creative with it because they don't have to worry about Embiid lumbering his way down the court.
Yeah, Embiid's an overrated defender anyway, to be honest with you.
I think he's highly overrated defensively. But I've
yeah,
stated that publicly because people, I mean, I think he's better than Jokic defensively, but Embiid will be that kind of guy who will have one huge block. Like, for example, the game in game 3, he had a massive block at the end of the game. He also gave up roughly 18 points to Nick Claxton, but you know that's a separate story that nobody's talking about.
Yeah,
so.
I don't get why. My thing was with the Nets was why don't they put him in more pick and rolls? Like I would try to go small and put him in so many pick and rolls that he has to defend, like on the perimeter. Like I would just put him in so many pick and rolls that make his head spin, which is why they usually don't match up well with the Celtics. Is because the Celtics put him in. They'll take Robert Williams off the floor
and they space him out.
They'll play small ball and they'll space him out and they'll play him off the floor. He'll have to defend somebody.
And they're going to make him run.
Exactly.
Like Embiid can't move. You should make him run, but now they can't even do that. So I still like Philly. Can anyone on this team guard Maxey? No. Could anyone guard Harden for 3.5 quarters yesterday? No. Like they can't rebound. PJ Tucker's been killing them on the boards the entire series. They can't rebound.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Like I don't see Paul Reed numbers posted yet. I think this might be the game we see the double for him. He'll more than likely get the start. PJ Tucker rebounds are at 5.5. I want to see what he's. I mean, he's been killing it on the the offensive rebounding perspective. Let me.
The story of the game for the Nets. They got a couple of stops in a couple of minutes. They just couldn't get a rebound.
Yeah, he's at 7 or more in all 3 games. That number's at 5.5 right now. 7, 8, and 8 for PJ Tucker. All right, guys. Anything else for Sixers Nets?
Yeah, I might look at the over in the game.
I think I'm leaning to the over now. Yeah.
It's still like 208.5. That number hasn't moved.
Philly has to play faster now. Right?
Yeah. I think this might be a maxi 35 point game.
Yeah. I think Harden. I think Sean brought it up earlier in the chat. I think Harden triple double might be worth something too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he cares.
How's he doing
much about-
rebound-wise in this series? I haven't really kept tabs on that.
Let me see.
As far as I know, I don't think he's done much rebound in the basketball.
No, he's only had 4, 5, and 5. The assists haven't really been
That's what I
there
thought,
either for
okay.
him.
Yeah. I'll take a little sprinkle, some beer money on it.
All right, guys, let's close it out strong here. Let's get over to our lock and dog for the Saturday games. Delonte, why don't you lead us off, my man? Lock and dog.
Yeah, the lock. I'm going with the Lakers. We literally just talked about it. Going with them laying the 4. Obviously, I would actually split it up and do the trifecta: first quarter, first half, full game. No matter if Ja's in or not, I think the Lakers should be able to control the pace, control Jaren Jackson a little bit more at home, but get him in foul trouble. He's had foul trouble in every game he's played against the Lakers. So if they get him in foul trouble, AD should be able to dominate even more. Don't expect Xavier Tillman to play that big of a game either. So I like the Lakers laying the 4. As for the dog, I'm gonna go with Miami. It's pretty much contrarian, but I like Miami. I think they're gonna keep it close at home. I don't think the Bucks will shoot that well. And obviously, I don't think Miami will shoot that well either. But I think Spo will have something drew up for the Bucks, and whether it's shorthanded or hobbled Giannis. So,
all right, Scott, what do you got? Lock and dog.
So for my lock, I'm going to go with Philly. Nothing's really changed. In fact, I might even like Philly more in this spot because Embiid, if he was compromised, I think he would have been more of a liability than anything. But now they're going to play faster. The Nets can't rebound. Paul Reed has killed this team also regularly, and PJ Tucker has been great on the boards. They can't guard Maxey. They can't score. I like Philly minus 2.5. I think they don't play with their meat. I think that Philly wins the game. I don't know if you saw that quote.
Yeah, I saw. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Cool. So I'm gonna go Philly minus 2.5.
For your dog.
My dog, I'm going to go with Drew Holiday, 10-plus assists. Just quickly pulling up what the odds are on that, but I do like it a lot. I think at the end of the day, when you're going to try to, whether Giannis plays or not, Holiday's been so good with the ball in his hands with his decision-making in the series so far that I think I just have to take it blindly because, once again, he's been so good. I don't have odds on it, though. It's going to be plus money. I highly doubt they're going to have Holiday at 9.5. It'll probably be closer to like 8.5. So it might be like plus 130, something like that, but I'm speculating. Give me Holiday over for assists. I just love the way that he's played in the series so far. And in the first 2 games, he's had 11 assists, 16 assists. Even the regular season games, he's had 10-plus assists in 4 straight. So give me Holiday 10-plus assists.
All right. All right. For my lock, I am going to go with... I'm going to go with this Phoenix Suns team total over.
Okay. In hindsight, I could have gone for like a Booker 40 piece or a Durant 40 piece, but yeah, that's fine.
I don't see a number on that, but just doing the math, it's 112. Should be around 116.
Yeah.
Around there, 116, 117 probably for
I'll tell you what, I'm not taking the under. I'll tell you that much. I'm not going to take
I'll take the over for the Phoenix Suns team total. They've scored a minimum of 115 in each game. And again, I think 120 plus in game 2 and 3. So I think, again, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant going to get it whatever they want in this game. So I will go with that as my lock. For my dog, Anthony Davis blocks over 3.5 plus 145. I think that, again, this might be an opportunity where he gets it done by halftime. If you want to play steals and blocks combined at 4.5 at plus 110, but I think it's more about him getting the block shots against the Memphis Grizzlies like he has in the first 2 games, 7 blocks and 5 blocks. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast for the Saturday schedule. Scott, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
I'm happy we're recording this during the first quarter of the Knicks game because there's 32 points with a minute to go in the quarter. So I'm just happy that I didn't have to watch any of that. But yeah, looking forward to the games on Saturday. Should be fun. And hopefully we cash some props. I hope Capella doesn't score any more points. That's where I stand.
Delonte, anything else, my man?
Nah, man, I'm good. Felt good to get back with you guys. Looking forward to getting some winners, hopefully. So let's get it.
Yeah, guys, make sure to follow the NBA Gambling Podcast Twitter account at SGPN NBA. If you haven't already, smash that like button for us if you're watching live. And then also make sure to subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast on our YouTube channel here. Make sure to follow Delonte on Twitter at XXLonteXX. Follow Scott on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Follow me on Twitter at SportsNerd824. We'll be back in some form or fashion for the Sunday games. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.